120 hertz Pro Motion display, a new 14 and 16 inch MacBook Pro, and oh my lord, all of the ports. What's up guys, I'm Jed Abendroth, and this is going to be my breakdown of what I thought about the new, well, two new chips and two new MacBook models. So let's dive into this. So first, we're touted in the launch event of a 10-core CPU, 8 high-powered cores and 2 high-efficiency cores, a 16-core GPU, and up to 32 gigs of RAM. And what they call the M1 Pro. Thank God they didn't go with M1 Max or M1X tagline. I love the idea of, hey, let's call it Pro, let's get it Pro, let's make everything all Pro all the time. This is what Apple's doing. Hey, you either get behind something or you just keep playing around with it. You know, as someone that had went to school and studied a little bit about like marketing, you gotta get behind this stuff. You gotta say, hey, this is what we're doing. So all the Pro, all the time. Again, super efficient system on a chip. The GPU, the CPU, everything's there, and it looked amazing. Massive. Like for us that got the M1 MacBook Pro or M1 MacBook Air, or even the Mac Mini or the new iMac, we could tell you how amazing these computers are. They are out of this world, just top notch. Wow. That's the entry level. That is the entry level. So, with that being said, can we all just take a moment of silence for Intel? Because honestly, if Intel's chasing the M1 chip, they just lost everything they were doing. So the M1 Pro was touting so much stuff, up to 32 gigs of the unified memory RAM, the DRAM that they're using. Actually, I don't even know if it's really a DRAM. Is it just unified memory? All the cores, even for ProRes video editing. I mean, we're talking like that level of performance. And then they just kind of brushed it aside almost and said, hey, we did even better. Here's another 10-core, 8 high-powered cores, 2 high-efficiency core system on a chip. But now we're giving you 32-core GPU, up to 64 gigs of RAM, enough drivers to drive three Pro XDR displays and a 4K TV off of the port, the new brought back HDMI port off the side of the MacBook. I mean, this is just amazing. This is the kind of stuff nerds like myself, people like me, this is what we dream of. This is what we want. So, my puppy needs loving. So, we get the 14-inch, the 16-inch Pro Motion display to help save battery. When you're on static websites or doing things that are just very static, Word, email, it can drop down to like 10 hertz. But when you're doing stuff like scrolling, possibly playing games, it can jump up to 120 hertz. It's using the same screen that was recently announced in the new iPhone and then announced towards the end of last year in the new M1 powered iPad. The mini LED LCD panel just looks amazing. Full HDR content. I mean, it's finally a MacBook Pro that you could go full HDR workflow through, and I think not really have an issue with it. You know, until they come out and people start using them and that we start really paying attention to what's going on, that we'll find out, well, what is the, you know, how well is that workflow. The one downside, the one little thing that kind of irked me a little bit when it showed the design of the 14 and 16 inch MacBooks. Man, they look amazing. Yes, we did get that notch. Yes, we did get all of the ports. But let's talk about the design when we saw it. I'm doing the shape because I think many of us who've been around the Apple ecosystem long enough know. Anybody reminiscent of like the early 2000s MacBook? That kind of you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't have that nice sharpness, that cool edge that the MacBooks have had since like at least 2012. But having that kind of power, whew, man, you're talking amazing. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. I'm going to do a little more in depth of what I thought about the rest of the video, but the MacBooks, the new lineup, man, I think all that's left to drop from Apple for their own chips would be an iMac Pro and a Mac Pro, because I think we covered all the grounds and we're barely a year into their 2-year schedule of, well, let's call it the dissing Intel tour, the 2-year tour of annihilating Intel. Alright guys, well, I'm Jed Abendroth. Thank you again, and I will see you soon enough. Peace.